That song. Ah, that song.
Nothing better.
It gets me so pumped up. Every time I hear that song, I'm like, I'm ready to look at resumes. Like it's great. It's such a banger. Gwen, how are you doing on this fine Tuesday?
Hello, hello, like clockwork.
Ah,
Excited. This is like one of my favorite times of the week where we just come, hang out. The chat's here, listen to some tunes,
me
answer some
too.
questions, hang out with you. Come on,
I wore my collage shirt for you
love it.
because I figured, I have a BA in drama, and this feels appropriate for like an artistic degree to wear the collage
Collage.
t-shirt. How has your week been, Gwen? I've been thinking a lot about LinkedIn this week because that's what our episode is all about today.
Yeah, it was great that we selected this subject because I had been meaning to go in and fix mine because there's some things that I just like kind of like forgot about. So I'm glad we're diving into this today.
Yeah. And oh, did you get the Microsoft ice cream? Most important follow-up question from last week's episode. So for anybody who didn't know, or I don't know if we actually mentioned this on the air, but there was Windows 11, is that right?
Yeah,
Ice cream that got, tell us everything about it.
yeah. So there was the collab from this New York City ice cream shop called Mikey's. Mikey Likes It,
Mm.
and it was like this blueberry, but also had pieces of like cookie dough and some jam in it.
Oh my gosh,
And
delish.
they were giving away scoops for free, but I ended up getting a pint. It was so good.
Did it taste like
so
Windows? Like when you heard it, did you hear like the Windows startup sound?
honestly, yeah.
It looked really delish. Like it
I
was
shared it on
like
Twitter. People,
blue. Hi,
yeah,
Dr. G. Oh my goodness. Dr. G has entered the chat. Hello, Dr. Guthels.
our favorite
Our fave. We love a
friend of
friend
the
of the
show.
show.
Friend of the show.
Jinx. Y'all, what a week this has been. I'm really excited to dive. So for anybody who hasn't tuned into the show before, this is How Can I Help? Which of course is a play on our dear friend Clippy up here. And this whole series is about job search, interviewing, all that kind of fun stuff. We had our intro episode last week, but
Mhm.
we're diving into different topics. And today is LinkedIn, or as my dad likes to call it, Linky Don, because he couldn't figure out why he was getting so many emails from this service called Linky Don. But I'm really excited. I wouldn't say I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn on a regular basis, but
Mhm.
I did this last week getting ready for this. And I think, we've talked a little bit about how we wanted to structure the show, but what is your relationship to LinkedIn, Gwen? Like how have you used it in your career? What does it mean to you? Give me your personal essay.
Absolutely. I think LinkedIn for me now is something that I give it some time every now and then just to make sure it's up to date and I've got, everything that I need in there. But it isn't something I necessarily check every single day. But there was a time in my career where I was in there. I was about it. I was like, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but like, building the brand, building the portfolio,
Oh
featuring some
yes.
content that was aligned with what I wanted to showcase in my story and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's definitely something that I have that I try to keep up to date. I feel like it's also been a great networking tool.
And I feel like there's a lot of I wouldn't consider myself one of them, but I've met many like LinkedIn power users,
Hmm.
Sorry, I'm like connecting to a power source. We're doing it live. But I feel like when I go on LinkedIn, there's kind of one of two flavors that I'll encounter. Well, maybe three,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So, not to say recruiters aren't normal, but there's recruiters.
Okay.
So usually there's going to be recruiters on there who are reaching out to me. I've also been a recruiter in a previous life, so as a recruiter, spent a lot of time on LinkedIn, and we'll talk a lot about that on this episode.
Hmm.
Um, and then also, I feel like there's people like us who go on there periodically, update it, make sure it's a kind of a living, breathing record of like what we've done and our work experience, because it is pretty much like I would say the standard in the industry of like, oh, you don't have a
Absolutely.
LinkedIn? Like
Absolutely.
it's pretty like having LinkedIn, I think, is pretty important. And then I feel like there's people who are power users who are like posting on there every day, like a social media platform. You can stream from LinkedIn. I found out recently, like there's all, maybe we should be streaming to LinkedIn. Maybe we'll be doing that in the future.
We
Um,
should be.
but I wouldn't consider myself a power user per se. But I do get a lot of great interaction on there when I do post things, which is cool.
Definitely. One thing I like, well, we'll dive into this a little more, but I really like that you can sort of endorse or give recommendations. I like that, like a personal
Yeah.
touch.
Is your microphone weird or is my microphone, is my, let's see. Let us know in the chat how our sound's doing.
Is the audio of one of us bad?
Yes. But maybe it's
Ooh.
me. It might be me. We will figure it out. Let us know in the chat. Also, let us know in the chat where you're joining us from. We, of course, are over here. I'm joining from Oakland, California. Gwen is over in New York, near our New York reactor. But we'd love to know what brings you here. Gwen's microphone sounds a little funky. Yeah, you did sound like an alien for a second, Gwen. It was cool, though. I kind of liked it, honestly. It was very like Mars Attacks.
Let me let me rejoin. Can you hold it down for a
Yes,
little bit?
perfect.
All
I
right.
hold it down. I kind of liked the reminded me of like a alien thing. Okay, LinkedIn. So for those of you who did not know or maybe didn't watch our previous stream, and if you haven't watched our previous stream that we did last Tuesday, you can go to aka.ms/ how can we help the letter U. But we talked a lot about LinkedIn. We talked about my previous life as a recruiter. So I worked as a recruiter for a long time. If you've ever been a recruiter before, you know how much time you spend on LinkedIn, looking at people's LinkedIn's. You kind of get a sense of like what is a very thorough, very, a LinkedIn that really showcases work versus one where you're like, oh, okay, this person worked at Disney, but I don't know what they did there. So I'm really excited to dive into that. And there's a lot of kind of interesting cool features that we'll be showcasing today as well, including you can actually build a resume from LinkedIn. Fun fact. We'll be going into that. Ooh, greetings from Vancouver, Canada. I miss Vancouver. I love Vancouver so much. I've been thinking about Canada a lot lately and wish I was over there at a Tim Hortons hanging out. Um I'm trying to think what else we'll be doing. Oh, we'll be going over LinkedIn. Also, we'll be posting some summary blog posts from these episodes. So have a look out for that. Those are going to be posted onto Dev2. And those are really just going to break down all of the different links and details and things that we'll be going over in this series. But let me know your thoughts on LinkedIn in the chat because I know that LinkedIn is one of those platforms that again like Gwen said you're either power user, you're kind of there and periodically updating things to make your resume kind of match what's on your LinkedIn. I'm going to tell a couple interesting LinkedIn stories. Ooh, we've got Augusta, Georgia, joining us from the famous Dr. G shed in Washington State. We love to see it. Oh my goodness, we have so many different people from Raleigh, Egypt, Ecuador. Amazing. So much fun. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, thank you so much. And I love that we have so many people from all around the world. And what's great about LinkedIn is it's pretty universal, right? So let us know what brought you to this stream today. Was it something specific about LinkedIn that you wanted to learn? We're going to be doing some live updates to our LinkedIn. So that'll be pretty fun. We thought like, oh, we'll get our LinkedIn's prepped for this episode and get them in a really good place to like showcase the best. But then we thought, oh, we'll just like update them live on the show and we can show people how we make the decisions and what we decide to add. But I would love to know in the chat, what features are you currently using from LinkedIn? What features do you want more information on as far as like how should I be using this? What should I be using on my LinkedIn? And let us know if you have any LinkedIn stories, like stories of getting jobs from LinkedIn, or maybe you made a connection on LinkedIn. Oh my gosh, I have so many to share. I don't even know where to begin, but I would love to hear. I would love to hear yours. Okay, so Gwen will be joining us shortly here. She's just getting some audio issues figured out. But in the meantime, I'm actually going to bring up my LinkedIn. And again, just to share a little bit of history on me. So we went into great detail on the previous episode on what our backgrounds were coming into tech. So you can go and check that out. But in a previous life, I was actually a recruiter. I worked as a recruiter for quite a bit of time and also did a little bit of like recruiting for funsies as well, if you can believe it. I was a sourcer, which if you've never worked as a recruiter before at a larger company, or maybe we're thinking beyond startups here, so typically a larger company, there are these roles in recruiting called sourcers, who's it's an entry level job for recruiters, fun fact. And your job really is you're given this set of bullet points, right? So it can be anything from like, we're looking for a candidate that has X amount of experience in Docker, or maybe, it's KubeCon, maybe it's Kubernetes, right? And you're given this list, you're saying, we need someone with this background, experience, expertise, and it's your job as a sourcer to go through LinkedIn and literally look for people who have those skills. And I'm going to bring up my page here in just a sec and share my screen. LinkedIn.com. Okay. Sharing my screen. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to make it full screen so everybody can see it. Um, Hello, I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn. Ooh, we have a great question here in the chat. How do I network with it? That is a great question, Jeremy. We'll definitely get to that on the stream for sure. So I'm going to navigate on over to my profile and let's see. Oh, I've got all of this different messages here. I'm going to hide all of these. Okay. So there's a couple pieces of LinkedIn that I want to show you real quick. First of all, we got the cover photo here. So it's kind of similar to a social media platform, right? You've got your cover image, you've got your profile image. I think that a profile image is pretty important. I know a lot of people tend to use avatars, or maybe not something that represents maybe what your physical appearance looks like. I think because LinkedIn sort of does serve as something that you're doing for jobs, and they want to get an idea of who is this person, what do they do, it never hurts to have an actual photo on there. I have this photo from a Grace Hopper conference thing that I did a while ago. I've got my title here. So I see a lot of people who with their titles will put, endless possibilities at, new prospective company. So as I said, sourcers' jobs are to look through different candidates and find those qualities. So really think of your LinkedIn in terms of SEO, right? So like what keywords, what different things are important to have in your profile. So a sourcer, let's say that like Gwen's back. Gwen's
Can,
back. All right.
can you
Hello.
hear me?
Yes, you sound perfect.
Okay, awesome.
Perfection. Um yeah,
What I
so
miss?
I was just going through my LinkedIn here, Gwen. I was just doing a tour de LinkedIn of how I
Mm-hmm.
make some decisions on my profile. And I was telling all the folks that what we're going to do today, we thought about prepping it and making it look like all beautiful and everything, but we want to do it live on the air and like show people why we make the decisions and what we want to update. So I was just sharing, I used to be a sourcer back in the day, was a recruiter, worked as a sourcer, and that's an entry level job where you're going through different applications and you are essentially finding people who kind of fit the bill of this job description you're looking for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have everything from like X amount of experience in this, X amount of like maybe a background in this specific field. So it's saying that using keywords in your LinkedIn is key because sourcers who are going to be looking for candidates like you are going to look for those words in your profile. So putting something here. So I was saying a lot of people put, instead of their job title or maybe like putting the name of the job title that they're looking for, might put
Mm-hmm.
something like new possibilities at endless opportunity, and you're not going to find a lot of search terms in that or
Mm-hmm.
people reaching out to you about those keywords. So if you are looking for, let's say, a sales engineer role, or oh my goodness, a developer advocate role, or a junior software engineer, put that somewhere in your anywhere in your LinkedIn bio, because that way when sourcers and recruiters are actually looking for folks who have that experience, you're popping up in their search. So really think of this in terms of SEO, not of the greater search engines like Bing or Google or anything like that, but in terms of LinkedIn, recruiters are literally behind the scenes. Like you get like a premium account and you're like, I'm hacking the mainframe. Okay, I want to look for candidates that have these words in their profile and have this amount of experience in blah blah blah. So be very strategic with what keywords
Here's a
you use on this
question though.
page. Yes.
How do you strike the balance between, using the right keywords but not coming off like, just throwing everything in there, just all the buzzwords possible?
Right. Like Like hashtag teamwork, hashtag like every single thing.
Exactly.
That's a great question. I think, when you and I have had this conversation before about authenticity, like
Hmm.
when you're making a social media presence or even your YouTube channel, you don't ever want to come out in any sort of marketing or branding or personal branding that doesn't feel authentic, right?
Hmm.
So if you're feeling like as you write, you're like, let's go down to my bio here. Like, it's not hasn't been updated in a while, but I specifically, and do as I say, not as I do, because I used to have a joke. I still have a joke in here that says I'm one of the 200 plus thought leaders in crypto and blockchain, and I still know absolutely nothing about crypto and blockchain. That would explain why a lot of crypto and blockchain people reach out to me, because people are. Do you see what I mean? Like, people are searching that and they're finding it in my
Uh,
profile. It's all.
yeah.
If you guys can check out that article later, it's actually very circular in this conversation that we're having. But these are things that you need to think about, like, let's say that you, Glenn, decide, like, I don't want to be a developer advocate anymore. Don't leave me. But you decide, I want to be a zookeeper, let's say. Like, you really want to put those zookeeper keywords in here so other zookeepers, I don't know, are there special recruiters for zookeepers? That would be great.
Probably.
But yeah, let's take a look at yours, Gwen. I'm going to find you. I would like to add you to
Are
my
we
professional network
are
on
we
LinkedIn.
connected? Are
I
we
think,
linked?
I think we just linked.
We
Let's
just
see.
linked.
Gwen. Gwen, there you are.
Second.
Okay, connect with me immediately.
Let's connect live.
I'm going to accept. There we go.
Wow,
We
I'm
connected
honored, honestly.
live on the air. What you just saw, everyone, was networking. Glenn, we had a question about networking. What are your thoughts on networking on LinkedIn? Like, do you have any opinions on that? I think it was here. I'll bring up the question here. How do I network with LinkedIn? Do you have any personal
Yeah,
stories on that?
I personally do enjoy LinkedIn because for that aspect, because I'll have a lot of people reach out after like a session or after they see a YouTube video and they're very specific about like, hey,
Yeah,
um, I saw this and had a specific question on it, and I love those kind of interactions because like, all right, this person like it's not going to just be some super generic or super general, like, hi, this is me, let's connect for like no purpose. There's actually purpose behind the conversation. And I
yeah,
do the same. Like, I go out and if I see something that I enjoyed or want to talk about to someone about something specific, I'll sort of reference what it is that I want to talk about and then try to get the connection there or try to maybe in the comments or some sort of interaction there. I really do like Nick because everyone's sharing their professional stuff on there, so it's easier to find people who you can professionally talk to.
and it's a very. I feel like LinkedIn really serves this purpose that was much needed on the internet, which is like,
Absolutely.
where do you connect with someone for business reasons, right? Like, you can't really message. I mean, I do get a lot of like business
Twitter.
messages on Twitter.
Yeah.
YouTube, my mileage will vary. Instagram, I'm just sending you memes on Instagram, Glenn, 24/7. Sending you
Love
my
them, keep
trash.
them coming.
But it's cool because LinkedIn really serves as that place where you can kind of share, like, no website really has it where you can kind of put what your work accomplishments are. And it's kind
Right.
of like your space to brag about the amazing work that you do. And
Definitely.
I can't think of another, I mean, maybe I've used AngelList before. But I can't think of a lot of other, like, even on Craigslist back in the day. This is how old I am. I used to look for jobs on Craigslist post college. There was no like profile for that. So this is really your opportunity. Like, there's a lot of customization things with LinkedIn that we're going to get into today that I think are really
Definitely.
cool.
Definitely.
But networking wise, like, yeah, I would say this is where Twitter is where all the like live conversations are happening, and then I feel like LinkedIn is where like all of the career conversations are happening,
I would
perhaps.
I would agree. Definitely.
Okay, Gwen, tour us through. Do you want to share your screen or do you want me
We
to
could do
just tour us
yours.
through? Okay.
Yeah, let's do. Should we start with the headliner?
Yes. We've got the name.
Good job.
So far, so good. This is great. You have YouTuber in there, which is so perfect for
Hmm.
like any sort of people who might be looking for someone to develop content. Like, even when you're employed, LinkedIn is still a great tool. I get a lot of DMs
Absolutely.
from people to collab on stuff like, hey, we'd love to do like a video on this thing, like with Microsoft. And I love that you have YouTuber. I want to add that to my LinkedIn. I'm going to be
You got to
editing
do
mine in
it.
the background. Um, okay, people you may know. We scroll down a little bit here. Ooh, you're using featured. Featured is my favorite
Let's talk
hidden
about it.
LinkedIn feature.
Definitely.
Tell me how you chose what to put in your featured section.
To me, it's the thing. It's the things that I most want to talk about in terms of stuff that I've created, right? So if I want
Absolutely.
you to know, so if I had like a one liner about myself, it's like, here's who I am. Check, learn more about what I do here, and I kind of just use featured also to sort of like reinforce my like description or summary of myself, right? It's like, all right, here's
Yeah.
sort of what I am. More, learn more here, that kind of stuff. It's great because it's like one of the first things that people see when they come into their profile.
And what I love about it is you have this ability, of course, with your bio or anything like that to like put more info about yourself or the about section, I should say. But what's really cool about the featured section, and I too utilize the featured section. I need to update mine. Let's see. Go back to mine here. I put, just like you said, Gwen, anything that I'm particularly proud of, like a blog post, and it does videos, it does blogs, it does a whole bunch of stuff. And it's stuff that you should think of like if, like, your About Me section is here's the words that describe what I do. And this is like, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and show you what I make. And
That's the key
yeah,
part. I think you saying that is so important. It's like you get a section, you get your about section to talk about who you are, all that kind of stuff, and then you got to use this featured section to like back that up.
this is a great question, Alex. So I was just going to answer this. What happens if you're not creating content? So I actually first saw this feature from a designer who was putting their design portfolio in here. So just to show y'all real quick, if I go to this edit, or I guess I'll do the ad, you can literally share a link. Let me go back here. You
Maybe like
can
a GitHub
do
repo, a
a
GitHub
GitHub
README,
repo,
a website
media,
you build,
links,
media. Yeah,
articles. Maybe there was a write up about a project that you worked on that, like, you're particularly, maybe you did a launch, anything like that. I've seen this feature utilized in such unique and interesting ways. I've seen people record actual videos that are like, hi, welcome to my LinkedIn. Let me tell you about myself. You can
that's a
get as
fantastic
detailed
idea. A
as
little
that.
trailer.
We should do that. We should be like, hi, we're Gwen and Chloe, and we do a show where we help people with LinkedIn. We should have done that in preparation for this. But yeah, the first time that I saw this was actually someone just sharing their portfolio or a link. You can even put a link to your portfolio here or your About Me page, even. Like, you don't even have to put the links to all the rest of the stuff.
Definitely.
Articles. And what's cool is all of these have different formats. So, like, link is different than articles. So, if you go into mine, I think some of these are articles versus some are links that I uploaded. But I love that feature because just like you said, it's like a best of, right?
Your
It's what you
highlight
put at
reel.
the, like, yeah, like a highlight reel of like all
Yeah.
the, but great question about if it's not content. I think truly maybe you worked on an open source project that you're really proud of. Maybe there's you can even link to a tweet in here. I think I
Al-
used to have a tweet from Smash Mouth in here.
Also, I will add that just because you're not into creating content or you don't create content consistently doesn't mean you don't have maybe like a blog that you post every now and then or
Yes.
something like that, right? You don't have to be a professional content creator or anything like that to utilize this feature. This is really for you to showcase whatever that is not text in terms of like what you can fit in your about section. Really utilize that because it pops out. It really does pop out.
I have an idea. How about I add something to my featured section live on the air?
Let's do it.
Okay. I want to add a link to my last series, subtle plug for aka.ms slash beep boop replay. Shout out. Oops, not this, not this, not like this. Okay. Here, I'm going to hide my screen, then I'm going to do it. But I'm going to add a link to my series that I just finished with the reactor with Ornella. In the meantime, ooh, we have loved your interview on Lab Everyday channel. Gave me hope. Gwen, what was this interview? Is that
Yeah,
you?
lab every day is he's a person who does a lot of interviews with people who are in the tech space, but has like a networking background, networking engineer background, and we sort of just had a chat about my journey into the space, and we got to answer a bunch of questions, and it was fantastic. We love talking about this stuff because you also have like a non-traditional background into tech,
Yeah.
so yeah, it was great. And I'm very happy that Andrew, that it gave you hope. I mean, now you can pair that up with what we're doing here in terms of like fixing up resumes, LinkedIn cover letters, and all that kind of stuff, and then hopefully you'll have what you need to sort of feel confident to take that next step and apply for roles that you're interested in.
As I said on the last episode, we're doing makeovers. LinkedIn and resume makeovers.
I can't wait to redo mine. I look at it now, I'm just like, this is so plain.
So I'm going to add one in here. Do I need to? Oh, I guess I'll press the add button. That's helpful. So I grabbed this link here. I'm actually going to do a short link for it, which is aka.ms/beatboop replay. And this is a link to the series that I just did that has all these different videos and descriptions and stuff. And I feel like, okay, this is a good, like, overall view of this thing that I produced. So I'm going to put
Mhm.
this in here. And I'm going to I'm going to make it, oh, articles published on LinkedIn. That's a key differentiator here. Shows linked web content, shows content posted to LinkedIn. I'm going to do links, and I am going to just paste that cute little short link in there. Cute. Okay. And that's pretty much it. I'll save
Oh,
it.
cute! It pulls in the like a thumbnail ish or some sort of.
And I believe, let's try it out with linking to one of these individual ones. So if I do like
Okay.
aka.ms/beep boop replay one, I want to say. Yes. aka.ms/beep boop. Oops, not ms/beep boop replay one.
There's a solid question in here that I'd love to get to once you're done. And
Yeah, here, I'll bring it up here. This one here?
yeah, that's fantastic. They say if you find a job ad, you should network with people on LinkedIn at the company to increase your chances. Best way to go about this without being annoying. Fantastic question, because I've been on both sides. I've been approached by people who were interested in similar roles that I've been in, but I've also reached out to people. I find that the best chance of getting a response is when you're extremely specific, right? You're like, I've
Yes.
reached out like, hey, how you doing? This is my name. I saw this role. I see that you work there. Was wondering if you had a few moments to just chat about like some questions that I had about the role. And oftentimes people would be like, "Yeah, let's hop on a call or something like that." Or yeah, like I feel like we underestimate how much we like talking about stuff that we do.
Yeah.
And when you understand that, like, tools like LinkedIn give you the option to like message people for a reason, it's because yeah, like people like talking about what they do. But you got to put in the work and not just make it like, hey, I'm interested in this role. That's it. Like, or all right, well, what do I do with that, right? So like, make sure you got some questions prepped and all that kind of stuff. And reach out to several people. Just because like one doesn't get back to you doesn't mean you can't reach out to a few others. Just like try to not be spammy. Try not to like copy paste the same exact message to like everyone, because people at the same company are gonna they're gonna like talk and if there's someone who's like super spammy, they'll be like, oh, this person reached out on LinkedIn, and then that's gonna sort of like maybe ruin your chances or something. But yeah, put in the work to be someone who's worth having a conversation, right?
I just dropped a link in the chat to this article, which my friend Allie wrote. It's part comedy, part very, very good information on how to message someone on the internet. And this
Love it.
came from the very weird messages that I get on a constant basis asking, to pick my brain, collab, ask me on a date, whatever it may be. But Allie goes into really great detail here on, like, say, what approach you should take, how specific you should be. She even has an example in here on, like, hey, Chloe, I loved your keynote at DjangoCon. I saw it and blah, blah, blah. Thanks for the enlightening talk. Or even how to ask for what you need. Because just like Gwen said, we get messages all the time that are like, I'd love to pick your brain. And I'm like, great. Um, I don't
Yeah,
have time to do that. And let me know what you need. Maybe there's a video that we could send you instead. Like, there's so many different resources that we can send your way
definitely.
if it's asked specifically. But this is a really great, I mean, you really do want to be specific with your ask at the end of the day. Oh, we've got this comment here that says, yes, I can speak to that. I reached out to individuals who are in IT and expressed my interest in going into that field. I checked with them to see how they're doing, get to know them personally. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. I have a good example of this. Like after our last stream, a recruiter actually reached out to connect on LinkedIn. Was like, "Hey, I just saw your stream with Chloe on this topic. I'm actually a recruiter. Would love to just stay connected and keep up to date with your work." I was like, "Fantastic." And
Yeah.
where I'm at with LinkedIn is I don't accept everybody, but
Mhm.
when I have messages like that with like purpose, I do.
My favorite, this is not so much a LinkedIn story, but I think it's a relevant networking story. So I always advise everyone out there, it never hurts to ask. The worst thing that can happen if you ask someone
1000%.
is
You
they
get to
won't
know.
reply
Yeah.
or they'll say, no, I'm too busy right now.
Yeah.
And the story I love to tell here is when I was going to my boot camp, when I was attending Hackbright, I was posting on like Facebook and Instagram, about my hashtag tech journey. And this lovely, lovely man, Fred, reached out to me who used to run a theater company over in Alameda where I did shows. And it was one of those messages that was like, hey, I have a nephew that works in computers. You should talk to him. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. That ended up being the co founder of GitHub, Scott Chacon.
Ooh.
And we ended up getting coffee, and I was able to, it was one of those experiences where you're like, I don't want to go to this person and just be like, I want to pick your brain. Like, you want to come with specific questions. You want to know what you're asking. You want to know what the agenda is going to be, just like you would in any meeting. And I
Of
think
course.
you should think of that initial message that you send to someone almost like a here's the agenda of what I want to talk about. Like, Gwen,
Definitely.
you have a non-traditional background. I want to get into YouTube videos. I would love to talk to you about how to get my channel started and what to do with my LinkedIn. And then Gwen can be like, great, happy to chat. Also, here's a video Chloe and I did on LinkedIn. You know what I mean? Like, it's so much that makes the back and forth less back and forth. It makes you're easy in communicating directly your needs. So communicate your needs. Important lesson. iTunes, what are
That
you doing?
that first impression also matters because you never know who you might be able to have a conversation with and like the impression you might make, and that could lead into even bigger opportunities that you never expected. So put in the work, and then you'll start to see that people will get back to you.
Yeah, Brendan North says, I'd love to pick your brain. No, nope. Stop saying this. Be specific about a need and or offer people compensation. Absolutely. I think there was
Love
a
it.
quote from Kim Creighton once in a talk where she's like, if you want to pick my brain, here's my consulting fee or something to that regard that like I've kept with me for so long. Yeah, absolutely. And yes, that is the Fred that I speak of, Brendan North. Shout out to Fred Chacon. We love him. So look what I did real quick. I added that overall series page and it grabbed this image, but then I added a link directly to the first blog post in here, which will bring people to here. So I think what I'm going to do, just make this decision live on the air, is I'm going to go through and remove this one. And now I've got my Beep Boop series in my featured, which I got to add my how can I help in here too. Maybe I'll add the playlist while we're in here too.
I definitely have to do that as well.
Let's see, activity. I think this shows up for other people as well. This is interesting. It shows you what the person has here. Let's look at yours, Gwen. It shows what the person has liked and interacted with like recently. I truly I don't use it that much. It feels kind of creepy, like when you look at someone's Venmo like
Oh
history or
yeah.
something. Um, but it's there. Yeah, okay, I can see yours. Let's see, what did you do? Ooh, you're liking people leaving Microsoft. That's not. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it shows how active you are on here, which I think is shows people how active you are on the website. I guess.
You know what might be useful with this, and that I have done before, is like, all right, I connected with this person. Let me see what they're looking into. Let me see what they're reading,
Yeah,
what they're sharing, that kind of stuff. You never know what you might pick up from that. You might find a resource that's fantastic or something like that. So I can
totally.
understand its use.
Actually, now that you said it, Gwen, I have ended up. Okay, I take everything back. I have looked at this feature on other people's pages and gone down different rabbit holes of like content on LinkedIn. So shout out to LinkedIn for getting me to view your content
It's sort
because
of like
most
a
of this is
timeline
first
in a way.
party. Yeah, it is like a timeline. It's like when you go and see what your ex-boyfriend's been liking on Instagram like a creep.
Same exact thing, right?
Yeah, like looking at a Venmo history. Okay, you've got your about here. My about is very long. I don't think I'll do it live on the air because I usually need to talk out loud, but I think yours is the perfect length. And let's see, you have, hi, I'm Gwen, regional advocate at Microsoft and YouTuber. You've got those keywords in there. So like perfection. Started a help desk role. So this is great. You're telling your whole story. So Gwen, we're going to be talking about this a lot more on other episodes, but is this kind of your self elevator pitch that you usually give in written form?
Absolutely. Whenever there's like a bio required or some sort of description that people need about me, or people just me, who are you? I'm like,
Yeah.
this is me. This is and I'm once you get to know me, I'm sort of more of like a straightforward, like not too many words, but kind of person. And I feel like my about section reflects that of me. It's like just that's just who I am, who I kind of tell people what I do and things like that.
And that's what it really should be. Mine, do as I say, not as I do, because I have too much in here. I need to update my LinkedIn. I have that I'm an European and US citizen, just because, you know, in this economy.
Do you have your
And
socials in here? That's what I was wondering. Like,
ooh, do
should there be
I?
an area to highlight your socials, and if so, should it be your about section? Because I was trying to figure that out for myself.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna add my link tree in here because my link tree links to my Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all of that different stuff. So I think what I'll probably do after this stream is I'm gonna remove this silly thing here about this old blog post that I have and maybe replace that with my link tree. And then a lot of these my bio is updated since this quite a bit, so I'm going to change that. But I think that Gwen's like truly is the perfect length here. I like that I don't have to click see more on yours. I have to click see more on mine. I don't like that. Um, but so far so good, Gwen. You're nailing it. Ooh, look at that sweet reactor New York office cover image. I feel
I
like I need
was
a clippy cover image. What am I doing with my life?
I was just about to bring up. It looks like my audio might have cut out again. I think I have to rejoin once more.
Oh, but I love the
Give me
alien voice. Okay, we'll wait for you. I'll hold down
one
the
minute.
fort. Ooh, Helmet Chili Gaming says, this is very timely for me. I'll digest this and replay. Hooray! Oh, and Andrew, thank you. That's so sweet. Y'all are killing it. So much value in this video. Many thanks. Oh, I'm so glad, Andrew, because I'm oddly okay. So I was a recruiter in a previous life, but I really helping my friends with their LinkedIn and resume. I think it's the former recruiter in me, but also I'm like, it's makeover time. Like I love turning something into a more aesthetically pleasing, be it a Word doc or PDF or LinkedIn. So happy to help. Please ask your questions in the chat. Um, ooh, Brendan, yes, videos have been huge for my LinkedIn. Got to update that. So I totally agree with that. I need to add a bunch of videos in here. So that's probably going to be on my to-do list post stream. I might even do some of those live on here. But I love that you can click right into these videos. Like if you click those links, they go right directly to the video, which is really great. Opens it in a new tab. Um, as far as other things that I want to add in here, I want to put more of my Dev 2 articles that I want to feature, more of my videos that I've been doing lately. I just made a bunch of great Imagine Cup training content that I want to add. But what I should also share, and as you said, Brendan, like the video feature here, you can also add videos here, which I love. So, for example, at my previous company at CodeFresh, I did a bunch of video content. So, if you are a recruiter and you come in and you're like, I wonder what Chloe worked on. And again, if you're a designer and engineer, maybe these are open source projects. It doesn't have to be video content. This is just purely a lot of the work that I do. But I can actually click through like a carousel. Here's me and
I'm
Brandon Minnick, a throwback. This
I'm
is
back, I
you're
think.
back. It's beautiful. I like the alien voice, but I'm glad to have you back.
I have no idea what's laptops
It's
audio.
okay. I had a I had myself echoing in my own ear for 3 minutes on a previous stream, and I understand the power of live streaming. I was just showing Gwen that you can actually add, like similarly, you can add these featured things up here. You can add them to the individual jobs. So
Oh, I did not know that.
yeah, so I love this because I was just saying that when I was a developer evangelist at Sentry, most of my content was video based, which is really hard to put
Mhm.
into words, right? Like, what does this
Definitely.
look like? What does it do? This is literally this is the first time I met Brandon Minnick, if you can believe it. We did this video at my previous company. But I have every single video that I did. Here's a talk that I gave at GitHub Universe when I worked at Sentry. This is like a series that I did. Here's a video I did with Microsoft, a collab. I've got a bunch of blog posts, Century Scouts event pics, like all kinds of. I literally have pictures. Here's another. So let's say you're an event planner, right? Like I believe this is just a link to a Google Photos album for Century Scouts, so I can show people what my event looked like. I used to run this camp themed meetup, so a recruiter can literally, or a hiring manager, or whoever that may be, literally has a direct link into anything that I want to show them that's relevant to my job
And you
or
can update this like description or the title of what it is that you're sharing, like the
let's see. Let me see if I can edit. We'll go to this one. Here, let me edit my thingy. So it's right, yeah. So it's right over here
Mm-hmm.
at the bottom under add media. Ooh, I got a lot in here. And if I go, for example, so like, let's say this one. So this one, unfortunately, I think it
Okay.
pulls the image from, so it looks like this image is broken from that article.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish LinkedIn, if you're listening, would love to be able to update the image with a cute little thumbnail. Um, but yeah, love this feature. Love that I can go in and like add different things. Like I always recommend here, you'll notice there's a drop down with like the logo. You ideally want to select the one that has the logo that other people at your company are connecting with. I say this because when you click into that, so with a company like Microsoft, it's gigantic. It's a little bit different to see that. But if you
Mm-hmm.
actually click on the job, you can see like other people who work here. You can see like, the company usually has their own page. I think Microsoft has this as well. It's just going to be like a lot bigger because Microsoft is a
Yeah.
gigantic company. But when I, as a sourcer, let's say I'm a recruiter. I'm putting on my recruiter hat, and I am looking for someone who's looking in the error logging, or let's say a Docker CI CD company. I'm looking at evangelists who've worked in the Docker space, or I'm looking for people who work on Docker. I can go
Mm-hmm.
through here. I can be like, oh, interesting. What is CodeFresh? I want to learn more about CodeFresh. Okay, wow, it's got this many employees. Like, here's a little bit about the company. I can so it that way the recruiter doesn't have to leave the page. You know what I mean? So
Right.
always make sure you're matching with that drop down. Ooh, I'm also going to share this banner across the bottom. There's a really good Learn module that we checked out when we were first putting this together. If you go to
Mm-hmm.
aka.ms/how can I help links to, it'll take you there. So we'll leave that up there. But Gwen, let's look at your page here. Okay, so you've got Cloud Advocate.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. You've got your associate community training architect. Okay.
Right.
And you've got power. That's how I'm going to pronounce that. It's all caps. Cool, cool, cool. You've got all of these description things here. You got
You
that.
like my bullet points? You like my formatting there?
I love the bullet points. We need to add bullet points on this one.
Yeah, I remember I told you I needed to spend some time updating and sort of write what it is, and this is what I recommend everyone. When you're in a role and you're actively doing it and you actively remember what you're doing, that is when you need to write down that stuff.
Yes.
Because now, you know why I've been putting off writing down what I did at my gig at A Cloud Guru? It's because like, what did I do? Even though it was only a couple of months ago, I'm like, what?
You're like, did I work?
Did I? Yeah, did I do the work? Like,
You want to know what my tip is for that? And this is one of those things that you have to remember it ahead of time when you get a new job. But I oftentimes will save a copy of the job description and use that as a guide. So, like, I
should have
believe
done that.
this one, maybe for CodeFresh, I got the job descriptions, or maybe, yeah, I think I copied and pasted the job description part of it and used that as my guideline and been like, oh, yeah, I also did this and this and was able to add more stuff in. That's why I really love this featured feature,
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Featured.
Because there's so many things that you can't capture in just a bullet point, you know what I mean? Like you can say like shipped open source product, blah 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 blah, but then like actually seeing the repo is different experience.
Definitely,
um
or just additional, or just backup. It's great to be able to like dive into it more without having like a essay, because no one wants to read an essay. Come on,
yeah,
not
yeah.
on not on LinkedIn.
And I think that's the beauty of these bullet points, Gwen, is like just like we mentioned on the last episode, and we'll definitely be talking about this a lot more on our resumes episode. Is that next week? We should do a little sneak preview of what next week's going to
Ooh,
be.
is it?
But when you're looking at a resume, it takes a person like 10 seconds to know if this is a good candidate or qualified or not qualified candidate.
Mm-hmm.
And really, you want your eyes or the eyes of the hiring manager, the recruiter, whoever it may be, to see those words like, oh, interesting. Like, okay, yeah, this person knows this industry and what they're talking about. And I think we mentioned this in the last episode. I've seen 2-page resumes. I've seen 3-page resumes. 1 page. I mean, there's a little bit of an exception here with Linky Dawn, which is
Mm-hmm.
that I treat my LinkedIn as the ultimate exhaustive list. Like I literally put on my resume more info on LinkedIn because this
Okay.
is like I never remove anything from it. I literally have like every job from the day I was born. Like going back in the time machine, I've got Disney cast member at the Disney store. I've got Sephora on here. I've got all the way back to when I was a camp counselor. But
Wow.
that's very intentional, because if I ever do want to make a resume out of my LinkedIn, which we should definitely show how to do that on here. So you can actually build a resume, Glenn. I think we peeped at this the other day, but if you click
We
build
did.
resume under more, it will just build you a resume out of your LinkedIn profile. And I believe you can select like, which jobs you want to use. Looks like you can just click create from profile here. So you can like put all your desired job titles, go through that whole process. I would say that's like a good, it looks a little something like this.
Mhm.
I would edit this.
Absolutely.
I would not send
Just
Microsoft that I worked at the Disney store. I don't think they need to know that. But it's a good base template, right? Like it's a good place to start.
that's a fantastic tip. That I also keep all my work history, but I wouldn't say it was intentional. I just kind of filled it in and left it there. But now that you say that, and now that I know about this feature that I didn't know about before, it's cool because now you download everything you need, and then you just tailor your resume to which opportunity you're looking for. What if later on you're looking for something that's more of like what you did before? Then you just grab that experience and use it moving forward, right?
Yeah, and I think like so there's a couple things worth noting on here. I was gonna see if there's any way to like turn off or like what I mean when you have like a presentation slide and you're like don't show these slides. It would be
Oh,
cool if
okay.
there was a feature like that, but I like to keep this truly because I'm like, what if I forget where I worked? Like I want like a living, breathing record of like every single job I've ever had. Ooh, here's a good question. So I'm taking a certification. Should I put it on my profile after I've completed all the courses or after each course? Ooh, that's a really good question.
I
What do you think, Gwen?
my advice here would be to take it once you've completed the
Yeah.
certification. Like once you have the certification, whenever that might be, if you completed all the courses, whatever, however long it took you, do it after that, right?
Yeah.
And then if you're highlighting a certification, I don't know, certifications have ways of like providing media, or maybe you can make a little, I don't know,
Well,
blog
they have
post about
this
passing the
feature.
certification.
If you add,
Ooh.
you can do the name, the organization. It looks like that's the only requirement. And then you
Mhm.
can just like, if there is a credential ID and you want to get fancy with that, you can. But I think that's definitely worth like once you finish it for sure, adding in there. That's kind of what LinkedIn is for, right? The certs.
Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with LinkedIn and certification sharing, but that's just me.
Oh, here's
Here's
recommendations. That's another great feature. If you have any folks who give you recommendations on LinkedIn, one of your connections, so to speak.
You can
Um,
also ask. I've been asked to give recommendations, and I've always taken it as like, oh, this is a great opportunity for me to summarize like our work relationship or whatever it might be,
yeah.
and it's actually quite helpful for the people receiving the recommendation. So it's always nice to be like, hey, yeah, I can write a few words.
I'm going to give you a recommendation. You have received no recommendations, Gwen. Oh my
Ah,
goodness. That's my homework. But you've written some lovely ones for people. I love that it
definitely.
shows you ones that you've written. It's like giving and giving back. Shout out to LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely. I there's this question here that I find interesting. What is your take on adding the percentage or dollar amount you helped the organization save with a new process solution that you took part in implementing? That's an interesting one because I think I've listed that I saved like a certain amount of. I don't necessarily think it was the amount of hours or percentage,
Yeah.
but when I'm asked more about it, I know what to say. I sort of just keep it kind of general because I don't really know why though.
I
Any
guess
insight on that?
Yeah, I mean, if you have cold hard data that you like, I'm always like facts, not feelings. And like we said earlier, how that like featured section is really like put in your money where your mouth is. I
Hmm.
like recently we were going through this process and going through some applications for something, and I was like, okay, there's a huge difference between someone saying I am really good at making content and someone saying I'm really good at making content and here's an example. You know what I mean? Like being
Definitely.
able to like support your feelings with evidence. So I would say if you have cold hard data where you're like I saved the company this amount of money, or I was able to like cut down SLA time by whatever it may be. Put that in there. If it's the truth, like this is one of the few opportunities on the internet where it's okay to humble brag, hashtag humble brag, without getting called out. Like we all do it like on social media, but it's truly where this is where you should go all out and share. Here's what's great about me. Here's why I rule. Here's why you need to hire me. I slap. I'm the coolest person you
We
are going to
slap.
meet.
Yeah. Yeah. If you put it that way, I think that's like it's great advice. Just make sure you can back it up, because since this is public facing and employers might potentially reach out to you from here, make sure you know you can walk the walk.
Yes. And I see that a lot. I see a lot of like really big claims on LinkedIn, and I would love to see more evidence-based claims on LinkedIn. The power of data, truly. Let's see. What else do we have here? Note to self, write Gwen a recommendation. Everyone who's watched Gwen's videos, write a recommendation for her. Connect with her on LinkedIn.
That'd
This
be
is
awesome.
my favorite recommendation I have is from power user of LinkedIn, Matt. Chloe is good. Shout out to Matt, one of my favorite LinkedIn people.
I have to write one now that says Chloe slaps.
Chloe slaps. That's what mine's going to be for you, Gwen. With more clarifying data, of course. Let's see. What else? Oh, accomplishments. I'm going to be totally honest with you, recruiter brain here. I usually stop looking at someone's LinkedIn. I'm going to look at Gwen's here. Let me go to Gwen. So let's say I'm a hiring manager recruiter, this is where my eyes are going. I'm going like, okay, name, cool, YouTuber, I've got that. Ooh, she's got some content here. Very cool. Okay, I'm going to have to look at that in a second. Oh, wow, Microsoft. Oh, my goodness. A cloud guru. Oh, my goodness. I want to know more. And then I go here, and then I usually stop around here, which is good. Yeah. That's where yours stops. Perfect. I think there's an option to maybe remove. I don't want these. This is
accomplishments.
It's SEO, really. I mean, like it's where if you want keywords, like Python or I have some silly things on here, like the scholarship I got from college for musicals. Probably not relevant. I have a bunch of my articles in here. So under publications, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing this, but like I have a bunch of it looks like links to some they must have changed this feature because I feel like these must have used to link to things. Interests, don't like anything bad. I guess would be my advice here. Like
keep it profesh.
Yeah, keep it profesh. Maybe don't follow like Dog the Bounty Hunter on here, I guess. Like I'm following the North Face, very profesh. Things relevant to your what else they have on here? Schools, groups. I guess there's not really anything unprofessional on LinkedIn because it's a professional network, Gwen. Okay.
I mean, you never know. You never know.
Causes Chloe cares about. I mean, I could do without this section. Can I remove it? Let's see. Oh no, I'm stuck with it. Why don't you have that, Gwen? Is that
can you remove it at the top if you go to like
like edit something?
Yeah, like maybe in more or something like that, or something there. No. Edits. No.
Okay, we'll find
where it says add section. Like you see that more next to the add section. Does it let you just give you like an edit? Right under where connect. So it says your name at the top, and then
more.
Oh no! Wait. If you click add section.
What if I want to remove a section?
If you go to accomplishments, if you like expand that, can you remove it?
I don't think so.
No.
I just want to delete you. We're learning a lot about LinkedIn.
Come on, LinkedIn.
They must have changed this publications feature because I could have sworn that those used to be links. So if you work at LinkedIn, let us know. Oh my goodness, we only have like 2 minutes left.
I wanted to bring up a few things before. Did we talk about custom URLs?
Did we? No.
Because sometimes I'll see like these LinkedIn profiles where it's like a bunch of numbers and things like that. Do not let that be your profile.
No, don't do that. Gwen has LinkedIn. You're talking about this one up here, right?
Exactly.
Gwyneth.
And this is something you have to claim, right? You don't get it by default.
Same with YouTube. If you have over, what is it, 100,000?
100 subs. No, 100.
It's worth getting that custom URL for sure. Just looks so much more professional. You can even this is one of the URLs, or actually something that I do appreciate as a recruiter because sometimes I have a very unique name, so does Gwen. But if you're Tyler Smith, sorry, boyfriend, then you probably want to get that custom URL because there are a lot of Tyler Smiths on LinkedIn, right? So getting that custom URL and putting in slash, it's the one case on a resume where I would say putting a URL is okay.
Mhm.
Like sometimes people will put the LinkedIn logo and they'll put in slash Chloe Condon or whatever that may be.
Yeah.
And anything else, Gwen? We have the custom URLs.
Custom URL, I would say make sure your profile is complete because
Yeah.
LinkedIn rewards a complete profile. And you're
Mhm.
going to appear more in search and things like that. So make sure you take the time to really go, even if it's not a lot, if you don't have much, fill in each section that you can. Make sure you got a solid headline. I think the headline is what's the like senior, for example, yours is senior cloud advocate at Microsoft. Mine's like
And those are all
YouTuber.
the ones that pop up here in search. So
That's
if
what I
you
was
can
gonna
see like
say.
people
Those
also
are the
viewed.
exactly. Those are the two things that people will see without clicking into your profile. So
Yeah.
make sure your name is in there, and then your headline. And your headline you can get a little more creative. Like I see some people sometimes highlight certifications and things like that. I'm not saying you necessarily have to do that, but it's like, this is like kind of like a one shot, like guarantee people are going to see.
And I feel
Put in
like
the work.
if the people and the people have also viewed aren't in the same field that you're looking to go into, maybe
Mm-hmm.
consider changing your profile to better suit the like there's no imitation is the highest form of flattery, first of all. Don't copy and paste someone's LinkedIn description, of course. But
Of
I
course.
typically will look at other people that I respect in the industry and be like, ooh, I really like how they did this. I mean, look at Gwen's LinkedIn or my LinkedIn. Like, please take any ideas or ways to put your content on there. Like it's all open to you to actually, Gwen, I think we're about to be done here, but I feel
Mm-hmm.
like we only got the tip of the iceberg with LinkedIn. I feel like we either have to do LinkedIn
Yeah.
part two or we're going to stream more about LinkedIn on our own channels, like maybe later this week or
Something.
next week,
But yeah,
because
there's a
there's
lot.
so much to go into here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a link available so you can watch this again? Yeah, here I am going to drop a link to where you can actually find all of our videos and subscribe to them and make sure that you get notified. But any final thoughts, Gwen, before we end up and play our music?
Yeah, definitely check us out next week. We are doing resumes, and I think we might be doing some resume makeovers. Maybe
Makeovers.
love
I
me a
We love a
makeover.
makeover on this show. I mean, I think Gwen, you and I should do makeovers. We'll do a live update of our LinkedIn's, get them in a
Hmm.
good, solid place, and show our work, so to speak. Um,
Absolutely.
but it just dropped a link in the chat, aka.ms/how can we help the letter U. That will take you to all of the upcoming videos. I feel like this time was too short. I wanted more, Gwen. I wanted
This is
more.
great. I love these sessions so much. It's what I look forward to.
Oh, favorite stream of the week. We would like to connect with you on LinkedIn. So follow us on our various channels. Gwen is YouTubing all the ding dong day. Such a great tuber. I'm over on Twitter quite a bit, and we would love to chat more with you about. Tell us what you want to see on the show, like what brought you here, what you learned, what you've applied, and
Definitely tweet us. We pay attention to everything.
we
Let us know.
tweet. We love memes. If you want to share any
Love a good
LinkedIn
meme.
memes, I feel like there's probably a lot of really good, like, I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn memes. So please share your
Definitely.
favorite LinkedIn memes with us. And with that, I guess I'll play our outro music. Shall we?
See you next week.
Bye.